Well, hi everyone. Today is October the 20th, and that means we're only 2 days away from the big iPad 5 shindig in San Francisco. And we're going to discuss what we think is going to happen, what we might know is going to happen, all the leaks, all the rumors. And to discuss these things, who else should I bring on but a true Californian from San Francisco, Mr. Brian Monroe. How are you, sir?
Hi there. Actually, just a little south of San Francisco, I am, but in Silicon Valley. But yeah, I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Looking forward to talking about what we know, what we don't know, what is rumored to be happening on the 22nd. So,
and of course, I couldn't possibly even consider doing this show without the inimitable John Coles.
And what you like your long words today. Hello. It's nice to be here.
So John has done a great job of writing up show notes for us about this, so we've got all the thoughts in our heads about just what's going to happen. And I guess the first one is an iPad Mini with a display that isn't awful. I mean, a retina display. Thoughts?
Okay, if I may, because
yes,
I have an iPad Mini. Love my iPad Mini. It's really great. Yep. Thank you. Very good. You know, I use my iPad Mini on and off as I do, and you know, I'm one of those people that I'm very happy with high resolution screens. There's no question. Apple has been great with making one of the best displays in the market. They've been doing the cinema displays for a long time, and they've done the Retina displays now with things like the iPhone and even iPad models now. But the Mini, there's no question people want, and I agree totally. You need more resolution, the smaller screen size as you go. But I can't say definitively where I'm like, oh, I really feel like I'm missing out on something not having a Mini with a Retina display, especially since the size and the weight of the current Mini is really great, I'm going to say. And I worry about the fact that I don't want it to become too much more heavier, in essence, to maintain the 10-hour battery life. So where I'm at on this right now, in my predictions, I'm going to say definitely that I feel they're going to do it this time around. I believe that we're also... they're going to have that.
Okay,
but
so
again,
that's interesting.
You know, my point is that I believe that that's where things are at. So
I'm going to be devil's advocate and say Brian is more wrong than a train conductor with a hat on. He's completely wrong. iPad Mini with Retina display has to happen and the reason for that is that every other device that we use has a Retina display. You cannot go around using these devices and then go back. You don't go back, do you, John?
No.
Do you go back, John?
I use. There's an iPad in our house that has a Retina display. I use my Mini all the time. I have a MacBook Pro Retina and I have an iPhone 5, and I don't notice the screen on the iPad Mini being bad because it's the same resolution as my original iPad, but smaller. So technically, it is a higher DPI screen. It's not Retina, but I don't think you don't notice it dramatically.
I find it just burns my eyes to go back to the non-Retina one after using the Retina.
I really don't.
Let me make a point about something here. You know, one of the things I will say is that with the iPhone itself, it's definitely something where there's no question the Retina display is really needed because the fact that I can tell is a lot crisper. Definitely difference between my iPhone 5 I have here, or the 5S, but the 5, and the 4 that I had before that, and other iPhones that I have before that. It really was needed. I'm going to see on the iPad. I'm sure I will see a difference, assuming they get that in there the time around with Retina display. It'll be great. And no question that there'll be more apps that'll take advantage of that on the iPad.
But the apps are already ready, you know? They're already ready.
But that's if they do the same. That's if they do it in the same resolution as the.
They have no choice. When Apple goes to Retina, you double the pixels up. They always double up. You can't go halfway. You can't have half.
And as we know, famously, the iPad Mini does run the same resolution as the other iPad.
As the iPad 2, yeah.
iPad 2, I meant to say, thank you, yes.
And
iPad
the original
2.
iPad.
And the original iPad.
The peasant iPad.
Which means that, in essence, that iPad still maintains app compatibility even for apps that are same resolution across, which is great. So you actually are feeling like you're getting a higher resolution screen, even though it's smaller, because it's smaller. But I'm going to say it's definitely fine, and whichever way they go with it, I think it's going to be great. So one of the other points I want to bring up too about this was the with the iPad was also about they're talking also about the Touch ID, right? You know.
Now, there was a security research from, I don't know how a security researcher knows this stuff. market security, maybe I guess it's called, from KGI. Have you heard of it?
Didn't catch that one.
Who said there will not be Touch ID, but there will be a Retina display. But I
don't see why they wouldn't put Touch ID. I don't think, if you're not going to see Touch ID on anything, it will be that Touch ID will be left out of the Mini. I think Touch ID will be implemented within the full-sized iPad. But even there, I can see the case for not putting it in. Why do you need it?
Well, here's the chain of thoughts the way I see it, Don. Here's the deal. Is my understanding, the way I'm looking at this, is that they're going to go to do the Touch ID. There are two constraints in that. One is a Touch ID sensor itself, the home button thing, and the other constraint, I believe, also right now is those 64-bit chips they have in the iPhone 5S, right? And I don't believe they're going to do a Touch ID unless, I mean, the iPad, this new iPad they're coming out with, they're saying they're going to come out with, it's going to have the 64-bit A7 processor, right? Yes. And that's also, those things go to. No. They said okay, hold on. Listen to what I'm saying. That you have to do Touch ID, it's going to have both the CPU and going to have the sensor. And
I don't think Touch ID is limited by whether they're going to put a new processor in or whether or the actual home button. What I think limits Touch ID is the market. You see, with the iPhone, it makes sense to put Touch ID in there. People want to be able to unlock their device quickly as you get it out of the pocket.
But you don't really hold an iPad. Yeah, I completely get that.
You don't. But also, the iPad's much more of a multi-user device. So the iPad's used a lot in things like retail and business, where more than one person's going to be using it. And admittedly, yes, you can have 5 fingerprints, or you can have a number phrase as well. I don't think there's a need for Touch ID to be there. It's not something that is easily stolen as an iPhone can.
Again, I will play devil's advocate here to say that the stuff I'm reading is actually saying that businesses aren't a big way picking these things up, and they would love to have that. Now, again, maybe Touch ID is more of a consumer side thing than a business thing, and maybe that's really what we're getting our quibbling about, because there isn't
too restrictive. It's too restrictive as a business thing.
Well, with only 5 fingers in enrollment, you could do, I guess, right now, really, it is.
Well, without implementing it as like an actual numeric passcode, so you can store multiple passcodes. But even then, unless you do network authentication, it's useless.
Remember, it's just for unlocking the device right now. It's not, unless
it's akin to like a Windows login screen, which, yes, you can use fingerprint security on a computer, but that's because you just use it as the passcode field. On mobile, it's entirely different. I don't think we're going to see it rushed into the next iPad.
Okay. Again, I'm more in my belief is they're going to put the 64-bit chip in there. They will actually put the Touch ID in there also. But again, it's a question of supply constraints. I don't know where supplies are at right now for Apple, as far as, are they able to make enough of the 64-bit chips in the sensors? It's the question. Are there supplies constrained at this point? They don't believe they can make enough for, where they would limit how many iPads they could sell. Because that's definitely a different.
So
remember, the job the iPad does is different, right, than the iPhone as far as the sales side. People buy iPads. When they buy those, they're not necessarily making the same kind of commitment to Apple as they are with the iPhone, okay, or the carrier, let's say, data plans and that kind of stuff, right? So, it's a different dynamic. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You people maybe buy iPads, exactly right. People buy those as shared community devices at their home. They're going to buy them in businesses to be used around the office, that kind of stuff. And definitely, it's different than something you basically walk around with, on your own, and it's yours basically.
So talking about faster iPads, by the way, I'm timing because there's 10 points we want to get through, and I want this to be about half an hour, so I've just been timing 3 minutes. So that's why I'm kind of continually trying to move on. But so the faster iPad, so if we're expecting to see a 64-bit chip in the Mini, which would make sense to do, they want the whole architecture to be 64-bit.
But they've always given the Mini the reject parts. They did the first one.
I imagine what we'll see is the A7 chip in the Mini, because we know the power consumption's there because it's in the iPhone 5S and 5S. And then I think we'll see an A7X chip in the main iPad, or we'll see A7 in the main iPad and an A6X in the Mini.
Right, that seems more likely.
Right. Okay.
No
Okay,
card.
that's fine.
I have a feeling that they'll want to put that 64-bit chip in across the line.
So no Kardashian option apparently on the iPad Mini.
Oh,
so
no gold?
Kardashian. Yeah, let's be clear about what we're talking about. This that was internally supposedly the rumors are that
They called the gold iPhone the Kardashian phone.
Yes.
I don't like the gold one, as people may remember from our main keynote coverage.
Yeah.
I don't like gold devices. They look tacky.
It looks incredibly tacky. I can't stand
They
it.
look awful. I think I've seen one person with them in real life, and well, let's say I nearly ended up in prison for a very long time.
Not to sidetrack, have you guys seen a 5C?
No,
I've not actually.
not from the Apple Store.
I was in a restaurant the other day and I saw some of the blue 5C and they seemed pretty happy with it.
Right.
I can imagine you can be happy with it. It's not a bad phone.
Yeah.
But having already owned the iPhone 5, I'm not going to go buy the iPhone 5C.
Nah, you're right.
No, and remember, it's a difference. Again, when I get back to these things, stuff I read, my analysts that I read about these things really make a good point. Is that it's different reasons why these phones are around. 5C is not to take market share away from 5S, potential 5S sales. It's about the other side
It's a
of the
different
deal.
market.
Yes, exactly. Which is somebody who wants to get an iPhone at a cheaper price, again,
But it's hardly any cheaper. If that difference
But it is. Hang on. But it is on a carrier contract.
It's only $100 difference.
Yeah, but $100 is a lot, and also the contract tends to be cheaper on the 5C than it does on the 5S.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you might get it like for the iPhone 5S on 3, it's £37. The C, I think it's like 32 or something. I think it's quite a bit cheaper.
And Joe, you're also forgetting there's some people that again, we are ourselves not necessarily the potential buyers of that phone. Okay. But I can tell you the people that are going to buy that phone like the colors.
I don't not like the colors. I just hate the croc skin.
The colors on the 5C are nice.
Go on, Brian.
Please, you have to understand that as I remind people that you have to sometimes take yourself out of the environment.
I know, but I'm not saying I don't like it.
Are you going to interrupt me? Are you going to interrupt me? Or are you going to let me finish my point? Thank you. I'm trying to make a quick point here, which is the people that are going to buy the 5C are the kind of people that colors are important more than anything else, which reminds me back in the day of, remember all the iPod lines, they basically had different colors, and even including the original iMacs, the kind of color of iMacs. And again, for those of us who are tech buyers and technical people, we're like, colors, what? We don't like to look nice, but I mean, the colors are just silly. Thank you, very good job with the graphic, Joe.
They're not silly. They're not silly. I'm with Joe on the cases. The cases are a weird design, but actually when you hold one, they're not too bad. They look horrific, but they're like Crocs. When you wear Crocs, they're reasonably comfortable. However, you look like a complete idiot.
But they look exactly the same as Crocs. We could go around saying Steve would never all day, but that's not going to sum up the rumors.
I disagree. As a matter of fact, remember Steve Jobs was the one who brought out the original iMacs that were that color. So...
Yeah, the colors are an interesting argument. So, not to like put too fine a point on it, but let's move on again. So, cameras and optics.
Okay.
So the rumor is that the iPad 5 is going to get a camera upgrade to 8 megapixels rather than the 5 megapixels that we already see in there, which would make sense. But the interesting thing is going to be, will it have the same video performance as the iPhone 5S with the slow motion capabilities?
Yes.
I imagine it will if it's got the same 64-bit chip in there. It makes sense for them to put exactly the same options in.
Right.
They may, and again, this is back to the different use cases. Again, the stuff that I read, the different tech blogs and the analysts that I read, really great guys that write about these things. And the point is that the camera function is more a video side function. You're dealing with the iPad minis and the iPads itself. I realize people stand up there with their, you see people with their iPads like up in front of their faces, taking pictures and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's absolutely hilarious when they do so.
Yes, it is. But the point is that that's because, again, for some reason, they didn't have an iPhone or another phone available for them that they'd want to use.
Or they ran out of storage.
Or they ran out of storage, or they like the bigger view screen on the thing. And
it's good. For framing a shot, that's perfect.
Yes, and it's great, but again, getting back to my point that I don't see the slow-mo features and those kind of things being and the multiple flash things being something that they're going to toss into.
I don't think the multiple flash they will, but I think the slow motion capabilities they will, purely because
the iPad's never had a flash anyway, so
no.
Right.
So moving on to things that aren't iPad and iPad Mini related.
Yes, correct. Mavericks.
Well, let's leave Mavericks. Well, Mavericks we know is going to be probably spoken about at the event. It's like
it's a side note though. Either way,
if I may, apparently there was just a rumor or thing I saw on Twitter.
Well, let's do Mavericks last.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because Mavericks has a lot of stuff in it that we can talk about. So the Pro line is probably going to get talked about.
Oh, MacBook.
So. Yes. Well, no, both the MacBook Pro and the Mac Pro. So because we've not heard either.
Mini.
So both of the professional lines. So to start with the MacBook Pro Retina, apparently we're going to might see some sort of upgrade, which will probably be Haswell processor will be in there because it'll improve battery life. So they're going to throw that in there. Possibly Thunderbolt 2 and possibly an even higher resolution display for editing 4K footage.
No.
Okay, let me.
It's a possibility. I'm not saying of all of them, that's the least likely thing to happen. But it would be interesting because.
Did you hear that from anywhere?
It's been on the rumor wires. I can't remember where I read it, but 4K was mentioned.
Mac Rumors page 3.
No.
So
it's possible, but Thunderbolt 2 and Haswell are probably likely.
Well, their chipset,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So yes, I do believe Thunderbolt 2. I believe the fact that the Haswell chip is going to be what you're going to be seeing in there, and including upgraded graphics chips to be able to take advantage of the better power. Iris chip, exactly. Intel Iris chip.
I mean, I don't give a damn about Iris. I just want them to throw in the 7XX graphics from NVIDIA.
Right. Well, either way they end up going about it, the point of it's going to come down to the fact that they are going, if they're going to do an upgrade, it's definitely going to be the must buy this Christmas, this quarter, because the fact that you're talking about the best laptop out there with an SSD that really it's going to be the arguably
MacBook
anyway.
Pro just smokes everything else out of the water.
Especially when you start talking about Thunderbolt 2 and everything, when you start talking to move around big files. Again, as an IT consultant, what I deal with customers that have large data sets of just gigabytes and gigabytes of files, and there's no question that we've gotten way beyond what you can do with UES 2.0 and 3.0 is just,
for ever since I started dealing with video, I have not used USB. I use a network share.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again,
I can transfer files over a network faster than I can over USB 2 and USB 3 to an extent, depending on the device.
Right, but of course, it's always the interfaces are going to be constrained by the read and write speeds of the devices you're going from and to. But the thing about it is, like I said, that the amount of data we're transferring. That's why I'm saying that ultimately, if they're really looking to make this be a 4K production system, you definitely need that Thunderbolt 2.0.
Well, it already is. I mean, 10 gigabits per second is fast enough for most things to edit with. Because you're not editing live with a lot of these things. You're just transferring very big files. Things like red cameras, you get huge files to transfer back and forth. Sorry, Brian's video lags to me, so it's really hard for me to know when he stops talking.
I know, it is.
So
Brian needs to buy one of these fancy new Retina MacBook.
Yes, I do.
Well, I'm probably going to use Windows to call in on Tuesday, but that's a whole different discussion. Because Blackmagic have released the drivers now for Thunderbolt, which is nice. So the Mac Pro and Mavericks, we'll roll those two into one.
Mavericks is kind of, I don't think you should roll them in, because Mavericks is like, we'll whack it on the App Store in a couple of days. It'll be great. The Gold a new GMC was released today, 2 GMCs,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I was kind of knocking them into one because they're both going to be launched, presumably on Tuesday.
I mean, the Mac Pro will have a launch date.
That's my point, is that we'll get launch dates for both of those two.
Okay, but they won't be simultaneous, I don't think.
No, I think we'll probably see Mavericks coming out this coming week. It'll probably be out Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Maybe the week after, but I imagine that it's something that they want to get out sooner rather than later. Yeah. And I'm hoping that we'll see the same pricing as last time, which was really ridiculously low from what I remember. They're like £10.
No, 1995 was last time, yeah.
Which is probably around 10 quid.
Yeah, I think they did it for about £14 or something in the UK. So it really, bearing in mind it was like $29.99, and that seems expensive now for Snow Leopard. Yeah. Now it's right down to like £20.
And the year before, Leopard was 129.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, I've never paid an absurd amount for my OS upgrades from Apple, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I want to point out about this is that's been really great about Apple is the fact that they haven't had to charge the crazy margins that Microsoft, has been able to get away with, in essence, charging on their software. And it's one of those things where ultimately it's a great thing because you basically end up paying into the Apple system initially, and then basically everything else comes almost free at the end. I mean, the life gets extended in your products for very nominal costs in essence.
Oh my God.
I have never paid for a Windows operating system.
Yeah.
Well, you pay for it when you buy a computer.
I've paid for them as part of the price of a computer, but the other ones that I've installed in virtual machines, I get as part of an MSDN license. So I've never paid.
Then you did pay, but it's for the MSDN. You did
I
pay
didn't pay for my MSDN license, so I don't care. I've never paid personally.
How'd you get? Well, we shouldn't get into how you got it, but anyways. Okay.
As part of work, I get an MSDN license.
Right, so your work paid for it. Okay, so
I'd never pay for
Mac Minis, they're saying there's no rumors so far at this point. We still might see a bump on that anyways.
Boring upgrade, faster processor, nothing exciting.
I don't think we'll see Mac Mini upgrade. And if it was, the Mac Mini is always what the previous year's MacBook Pro was. So
that's not true.
Right.
It will have the new CPUs.
It pretty much is.
No, because it got the Fusion Drive stuff that the MacBooks don't even have. I mean.
Yeah, but that's because of the space. They've always had space for 2 drives in the Mac Mini, and a lot of us who have Mac Minis have already put an SSD and a hard drive in there. I did it on mine.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You've got space. It's very rare for an Apple computer to have actual spare space in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Apple TV.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it out there. Will we see Apple TV get a mention? Possibly a UI refresh, because the rest of iOS has been updated, but not the Apple TV.
Well, it's been 592 days since the last they released it, so it definitely no question it's long. It potentially could use an update, but the question really is of what? What are they going to do with it? Are they waiting to do other things with the home theater setup? I mean, of course, there's always rumors about an actual Apple television, but I
don't see necessarily them bringing new hardware. I think it'll probably be a software thing, because the actual Apple TV box doesn't need an update. Really?
Well, you could say it doesn't need an upgrade, and there's no question the fact that I'm using the ones that I've used all around different models, from different clients I do work for, and that the latest one is definitely very speedy and fast. It's one of the quickest set-top boxes out there.
Unless they're going to add 4K.
Well, either 4K and or be able to add more storage for apps, local storage for apps, and that kind of stuff. That's kind of the question. I mean, they could be doing that. That's the thing they want to do.
They have 8 gig inside at the moment, right?
I think that's correct anyway. I have to look in the specs, but yeah, sounds all right.
I can't see games and things coming to the Apple TV. The control interface, unless you're using an iPhone, just isn't.
Well,
I don't think using an iPhone concept is really that compelling.
No, because apps that let you do there are games that allow you to output to an Apple TV, and you get essentially you turn it into a game console, but you're actually sending just video. That's part of
AirPlay, via AirPlay,
via
AirPlay extension. That's quite a cool little technology. I quite like that.
Of course,
I've never found an app that actually does it though. So. Post your suggestions into a postcard and mail it to somewhere.
Or leave it in the comments.
Yeah, that's probably the easier way. Anything else?
That pretty much does it for what I got.
I think that's everything.
Let's play a drinking game.
Well, I'd say red wine, but it's not.
Okay, let's play a postponed drinking game. New Mac Pro. Whoever gets the closest price in United States dollars wins, and the other two.
$2,999.
$2,999. Okay.
$2,999 base price.
That's a bloody good one.
Because that's where I'd price it at. That's kind of like not ridiculously expensive, but not too cheap.
Oh well, it's got to be $2,799. Just take the edge off.
Yeah.
You can't say it's $3,000 if it's $2,799.
Well, I mean, we know that there's no question that
Add
people
this
that
to
are
the
buying
doc,
the
John.
I think the problem you're forgetting is the fact that people are buying the Mac Pros are not price sensitive buyers, and these people will pay what it costs to buy.
That's
this.
not true.
You know, I mean,
the professional market are.
They want like.
They want bang for the buck.
Look at the marketing
machines. They don't want to be spending $10,000 per machine. They want to be spending a reasonable amount. Otherwise, they'll just turn to Hackintoshes
or Windows systems. I mean, it's
well, you know, again,
they have
like
been for the past year. Well, they've gone without an update on.
I have to say that Apple have lost a lot of the kind of Adobe crowd who used to run CS on their products, because now Adobe software is actually really good on Windows, and you can put later graphics cards into Windows. You can put newer graphics cards into Windows.
However, the color matching is definitely not there on Windows. We'll tell you that. It's definitely the color palette systems. They're not as robust as the on the Mac system. It just isn't there. But
sorry,
I would say that the color palette. I'm saying the color matching in essence. You know, and saying the fact that actually what you see is not what you get.
It can be if you calibrate your monitor correctly.
Again, like I said,
that doesn't matter on OS.
In 2013, I'm not sure how true that is.
That's color outputs now on OSs are agnostic. They always have been. It's just your monitors. OS 10's always been better at dealing with including calibration software included with it. But Windows now, you go get a device which any professional house will have, because you're meant to. If you're a professional house, you should be calibrating your monitors once a month to keep it in there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's nothing between the Mac Pro now. It's going to have to be a good price to get people to buy it. I think it's price insensitive.
Well, I mean, you say that, John, but I'm going to be serious. The fact that the people that are buying this, they will spend. I mean, for you and John, that kind of money seems crazy. But the problem you have to remember is the people that I deal with, you know, that I know that would buy these systems and everything, you know. It's not. They will buy $20,000 worth of camera gear. You know what I mean? It's not a question for them to go out.
No, to spend ridiculous amounts of money on a computer isn't. I don't mind that. You know, we bought a TriCaster, and they're ridiculous amounts of money. I'm used to dealing with large amounts of money, and servers are ridiculous amounts. What I'm saying is that I don't think Apple themselves would ever charge a humongous amount. I mean, I can't remember how much an Xserve was. I never got the chance to buy one, but they weren't ridiculously expensive.
I think the price does matter.
I think the price absolutely matters, because they don't want to price themselves out the market. They don't want to look cheap.
But they already own that $1,000 plus market anyways. That's the point. They're not pricing themselves out of the market. That's their market. That's my point.
Absolutely, and it's not going to be less than the price of a MacBook Pro. So that's why I'm saying around $2,000-3,000 is about right, because, I mean, this laptop I have here was $2,200.
Right.
But laptops traditionally are more expensive than desktops. However, with what you're getting in a Mac Pro, it's probably going to be more expensive still. It'll probably be I think between $3,000 and $4,000.
Well, if we're looking right now, the current thing right now, if you can buy a Mac Pro, the current models of Mac Pro starts at $24.99, goes up to $37.99 for base models and whatnot. So the question really, that's why I'm trying to say that people that are going to buy a Mac Pro, it starts at $24.99.
And that's why I said $299.99.
Right.
$2,799. So Brian, okay, well, so John, I said $2,799. John said $2,999. So Brian, your guess? I'm still with the 24. I'm looking at the price right now, $24.99. I'm going to go with that price for the base model. I'll say that because that's what they're going to do.
What happens if they do 3 models and they're all our prices?
Then we all win, and therefore,
that's right.
I think it'll be, I think they might pull one of those, and it's exactly the same pricing as before.
Right.
Which everyone who's just bought one of the old ones will then be really annoyed with.
Yeah, but if you bought the old one, I think you've got.
I think the sales at
you had a warning.
Pros have kind of gone down.
You can't buy them here, right? You can't buy them.
I don't think anyone has been buying the Mac Pro for
You can't get them in Europe, though.
Can you not?
No.
Well, yeah, you can't because the European Union's worried about people getting their fingers stuck in the blades.
Is that it?
Yes.
I thought it was power consumption.
Well, no, it's the blades. Apparently, the idea is
I would just ram my fingers in. Yeah, who cares?
Yes.
I wanted a Mac Pro.
Well, you can't get one.
Tough luck.
I am really disappointed.
So with that, I think we're about done. I mean, we will be covering... Yes, sir?
Yes, I think we're done.
Other than that, we will be covering this event that we've just predicted. So, spoiler alert. This is everything that's actually definitely going to happen. We'll be covering this event on October the 22nd of...
We should have a scoreboard.
October. Bingo. That's what we need to play. We need to play bingo.
I will make us a bingo sheet. And
please do. Please. That'd be great. And the audience can play too.
Don't you agree on the fact that the new design of the Mac Pro is really great for a data center? It is and it isn't. It is if people redesign racks. It isn't if they don't.
And I don't see data centers redesign their 19-inch racks, box racks.
Well, it's more if you're going to co-locate a lot of these, you can actually have thinner racks. You don't need.
I don't think anyone's interested in having thinner racks. I think they just want to stick to standards.
Well,
and I think
this is the issue.
I mean, 19 inches. I don't think anyone ever has said, "God, I wish 19 inches wasn't 19 inches."
Well, I think you look at a lot of stuff in racks now, and from not a lot of it. I mean, servers certainly always take advantage of the full size, but a lot of them don't necessarily need to.
Yes, we know, Joe. TriCaster.
Yeah, but you look inside your TriCaster. You could probably fit that into a slightly sharp. I'm not saying they're going to.
You couldn't, and you wouldn't want to. Every 19 inches is a standard. We don't need...
Yeah, but then how's the Mac Pro going to fit in there?
How the Mac Minis do. People make these cool little rack cases.
But there's going to be a lot more wasted space with the Mac Pro.
I know. Look, I mean...
I'd put it on its side.
Yeah.
Because then you've actually got good airflow. I mean, in terms of a data center, they're quite nice because they have good airflow. Because it goes in the bottom.
You guys are getting way ahead of yourself.
Why did this guy in chat have to derail my outro to the show?
Yeah, let's just do the outro and let's rant about this in post-show.
Yeah, I mean, geez, I was just trying to wrap the show up, and then we all go off on a tangent, as it were. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. So we will be covering this event, as I tried to tell you just a few minutes ago, on October the 22nd of October, which is only only 2 days from now. And joining me will be John Coles, Brian Monroe, a bit of Christopher Woods action if you're lucky, Nicole Bakewell indeed maybe, and
definitely in post show.
Definitely in post show, at the very least. We look forward to joining you.
Maybe some Andrew Zaria, maybe, who knows?
Probably not. Maybe if he's around, I would absolutely have him. We look forward to discussing it. We hope we can find his room. Probably won't. But it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to see you there. John, what would you like to tell us about?
If you want to get in touch with me, then you can follow me over on Twitter, and my Skype has just died.
Yes, it has.
Well, probably a good time to finish.
Brian?
If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Brian M. Monroe on Twitter, and that's where I'm at. So,
well, I've been Joe DeMax, and tomorrow, Monday the 21st of October, I will be on the stream, same damn place, around the same time, and I will be DJing live for you on the stream as we get pumped up for the following day's event. You can request your songs. You can tell me to turn the music up. We can do all of that. It'll be a great time, allegedly.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is, actually. I'm really looking
First time we're ever doing this, and we think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Basically, first time I've ever been allowed to do it. I've asked for this for a long time.
No, you haven't.
Okay. And maybe if you're lucky, after the show tomorrow, we'll play Train Cabinet Simulation. So that's on LTK TV for this week. LTK update every Wednesday sometimes. Yeah, so please join us on Tuesday, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.